welcome my hair metal friends. I love it that we're all here on this beautiful live show. Remember the new live dates are Tuesday and Friday. Gives me 2 days in between to think of some ideas. So Tuesdays and Fridays, live shows on the Hair Metal Revolution channel. Why we do live? Because when is music best? When you watch it live, when it's raw, where mistakes happen, things happen. That's where the magic is. Where it's not about me, it's about us. It's about all of us. That's what music's about. When you take a video, record it, take it in the back, you edit it, you add music, you add this. Is that really raw? That's like using tapes. So here, this is about being real. And again, these topics, right? These topics. Is Guns N' Roses truly the king of 80s rock? Right? That's just the title. Doesn't mean I think that. Doesn't mean you think that. It's a title for us just to talk about it, right? That's what it's all about. It's about us talking about it. And that's what the beautiful thing about music. Because everybody has different tastes in music, right? Some people say, Mötley Crüe, their band of the 80s. Some people say Def Leppard, Metallica, Megadeth. Everybody has their own taste. But the reason I brought this topic up, first I want to say hello to a couple people in the chat real quick. Danny Staten, greetings. My buddy from South Carolina. Tomorrow is, Danny, what tomorrow is? Gypsy Road's back. Channel's free, strike free. You know what that means, Danny? Tomorrow is it. We're back. All right. I stopped watching Love Gun to come here. I appreciate that. I love that. Now, the reason I brought up this topic, Guns N' Roses, because almost any time I pull up a poll or talk about 80s rock, everybody always says Guns N' Roses was the best. They're the ones who brought rock back into rock. It is what it is. Everybody, of all bands, everybody always talks about Guns N' Roses the most as being the band. Do I agree with it? That's what we're here to talk about. So, is Guns N' Roses the king of the 80s? Are they really? I guess I'm not talking about what we think on overall, what people think overall together. Do we think? Now, first of all, let's look at the cells. Like let's check out the cells here first. All right. So we all know Appetite for Destruction. I mean, if you make a top 10 list, it's probably going to be on mostly everybody's top 10, right? It's because Appetite for Destruction is an album that doesn't really have like any fillers. Every song is solid. It's almost like AC/DC Back in Black. Every single song is solid. There's no fillers. So Appetite for Destruction is an album that's no fillers, okay? And then now, put down, you go into Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, which, god damn, look at Appetite for Destruction sold over 30 million copies. 1 and 2, 15 million copies each. Now, this is the thing about Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I'm going to be honest. Those two albums have a lot of fillers. They truly do. I would say if you take half of the songs from Illusion 1 and half of the songs from Illusion 2, you put it together, you probably would have another Appetite for Destruction. And putting those two together, maybe would have sold almost 30 million copies. Okay? Now, this is the interesting thing. Now, hold on, guys. For a second, what I'm about to say is they do have Guns N' Roses Lies that came out in 88, but that's more like an EP. We're not talking about, it's not a full album, but if you really, truly, truly think about it, in the 80s, Guns N' Roses only had one full album. If you think about that, they only truly had one full album. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, they come out in 1991. So when you think about it, they only had one true album in the 80s. So For me, if when people say they're the king of the 80s, I disagree with that. I disagree. They were not the king of the 80s. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, I get it. They sold 30 million copies. Back in Black sold 50 million copies. So you can say that, Back in Black sold 20 million more copies. So, but think about this, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses. I mean, how many albums did Guns N' Roses have in the 80s? Oh my God. It's almost like every single year they were coming out with an album. Hold on a second. I want to check. I want to check something real quick here. I want to take this one off. I want to go to Mötley Crüe for a second. Now, Mötley Crüe, think about this. Mötley Crüe has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 albums in the 80s. 5 albums in the 80s. Rat, I think Detonator came out 1990. Hold on a second. When did the Rat album? Give me a second here. See, this is what I love doing live. This is what I love about doing live. It's because we check everything real. Yeah, Detonator came out 1990. So if you think about it, Rat has 4 albums in the 80s. Dokken, Breaking the Chain, Tooth and Nail, Unlocking Key, Back for Attack, 4 albums. Def Leppard, On Through the Night, High and Dry, Paramonia, and Hysteria. They had 4 albums. I mean, Faster Pussycat had more albums than Guns N' Roses did in the 80s. And when people talk about but Guns N' Roses brought back street cred. And I'm not saying they didn't. But it's like, did you forget? Did you not listen to LA Guns in the later 80s? That album has a lot of street cred in it. Did you listen to Faster Pussycat album in the 80s? It has a lot of street cred. Sometimes the news media, for whatever reason, they all jumped on Guns N' Roses and they all held them as the next Rolling Stones. And again, it might be the next Rolling Stones for you. And listen, I love Guns N' Roses, but again, this is just for our topic. This is what we're here for, just for our topic. That's a good one too. I know it rocks. So, and if you really, truly think about it, when Appetite for Destruction came out, Welcome to the Jungle was not a massive hit. It wasn't until 1988 when Sweet Child of Mine came out that became a massive hit. So if you think about their popularity came popular at the last part of the 80s. So, in my opinion, there's no way you can say they're king of the 80s because they didn't even get popular until 88. Oh, man, you're a member. That's awesome. Thank you for supporting the channel, my friend. That is very cool of you. That's very cool of you. So, again, Appetite for Destruction, great album, right? We're all agree with that. But when people say they're the king, they brought the rock back. No, the rock was there. It was just for whatever reason, all the news channels, everybody held him the king. Now, I will say this, what was impressive. So we all know grunge came huge, mostly late 91, 92. I will say what's interesting is, that like this album, Spaghetti Incident. I'm sorry to tell you guys, that is not a good album. That is not a good album. It's not. And that came out in the heart of grunge, and that sold 5 million copies. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really, truly is. It's unbelievable. And then you go in 2008 with Chinese Democracy, which wasn't really Guns N' Roses. It was Axl Rose, like solo project. There was no original members when they did Chinese Democracy. And that sold 2,225,000 copies. And what's amazing in his greatest hits, 2004, sold close to 12 million copies. I mean, so don't get me wrong. That's impressive. That's impressive. No offense to Guns N' Roses to come out with a crappy shit like Spaghetti Incident, and it sells 5 million copies in the heart of grunge. I mean, hey, take your hats off to them. Take your hats off to them. LA Guns, worth more love and recognition. LA Guns got shafted. They truly did. LA Guns really did get shafted because LA Guns was street cred rock. It really was. And all that. So, and I love their Ballad of Jane. I think Ballad of Jane is one of the best ballads that came out of the 80s. I know 80s ballads. I know. Even Guns N' Roses had their version of a ballad, Patience. So they all did it. So, and LA Guns do deserve more recognition. Faster Pussycat deserved more recognition. Oh, God. Dr. Wu. Tomorrow, Dr. Wu. Tomorrow, other channel, live. Channel's back. Tomorrow, Dr. Wu, live channel. Tomorrow, on the other channel, we're back. What's your opinion on Hanson and Nelson? Well, Hanson are cute little kids. Listen, Hanson? Hold on. Let's have some fun here for a second. Let's look at a picture of Hanson back in the, I think there were more 90s, right? Let me see here. Let's see here. Let's have some fun. What do I think about Hanson? Oh, look at those cute little kids. Oh. What I think of Hanson. Hanson, listen. I don't want to bash little kids, but the truth of the matter is there were kids that were born with silver spoons in their mouth. They had everything they handed to them. They have everything in life. Parents bought them any kind of instrument there is. I mean, I'm not saying they're not talented. I'm not saying they're not talented. I mean, they had do wop be bop, whatever that song was, #1 song, crazy as it is, so I'm not putting their song. Hanson's not for me, but I didn't feel like they earned it in life, right? 80s rock, Guns N' Roses, Rat, Mötley Crüe. Think about those bands, guys. I'm seriously. And we'll get back to Nelson in a second. Think about those bands. They played clubs. I mean, years of clubs before they even had an album. Guys, look at that Twisted Sister documentary on Prime, Amazon Prime. I forgot the name of the documentary. I think Danny knows the name of the documentary. Look at that documentary. These bands busted their ass in the clubs to make it. So, when I look at Hanson, they didn't play clubs. They didn't get stuff thrown at them. So I know they're kids. They're cute. You want to pinch their little cheeks and all that. Now, Nelson. Hold on a second. Nelson album sales. Let's take a look here. Um, total sales by country, they sold 2 million copies of the album After the Rain. Nelson's, um, they're the son of, I think, Rick Nelson. No, Rick Nelson's their dad. The thing is about Nelson is the honest truth of is I don't know their total background. We all know their dad is Ricky Nelson, and I don't know if they played a lot of clubs. You know, how do they got their album sales? I mean, not album sales, but how do they got to start? You know, and Nelson came out during the last part of the 80s when people felt that in the late 80s, 88, 89, 90, 91, that music became, I hate to say this, music became safe, too safe. Some of the rawness was gone, you know? It wasn't raw no more. Everything, bands that were getting signed were getting high production from the start, right? High production. Like, Eric, what do you mean by high production? What are you talking about? Let me show you guys. Let me show you guys an example. And let me find this video. A short. I put a short out a couple of days ago, and give me a second. Give me a second, and I want you guys. Hold on. All right, give me a second. I'm gonna open this up, and I got a point here. I want to bring up. I got a point here. I'm gonna play a short that I put out a couple of days ago with this Poison. And I want you guys to listen to this. I want you guys to listen to this. I'm serious.
So I'm going to listen to my songs in reverse and try to guess which ones they are. I'm going Talk Dirty to Me 100%.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Listen to this.
And I just want to say the best memory of that ever is actually making the music video. We had no money, nothing. We had a little bit of film and a camera, 16, definitely not the 35. We couldn't afford it. And we threw the biggest party and just let that thing be raw and real. Ended up having a top 10 single from it. It was crazy. From an independent band, independent record. It was nuts.
All right. And the reason I played that for you guys to understand that like Poison Talk to, they had no money. You know, everything they've done, they earned it. Now, I'm not saying Nelson didn't have good music because they have decent, their songs are decent. Nelson's music is not bad. Not bad. But they had money. They had money from their father, Ricky Nelson. So it wasn't like they came from the streets. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing or good thing. I'm not saying you should not like a band on purpose because they didn't come from the street. But when you look at the late 80s, Guns N' Roses was probably like the last band that recorded their album raw. If you think about it, look at Mötley Crüe, right? First couple albums, no money. The album was raw, and everybody always says those albums are the best. Def Leppard, High and Dry, early albums. They didn't have a big production, so the albums had that raw sound. Guns N' Roses' first album was Appetite for Destruction. So, they had a little bigger production than the other bands did, but not huge. And their album, had that raw sound. First of all, you could like whoever you like. I will never tell anybody who they shouldn't like, but I will tell you, it's easy for people to say, I don't like Poison. If you ever seen Poison live, they're a kick-ass band. Some people don't want to give Poison a chance. I don't know why. Poison was the first band I ever saw live on stage at an arena level. before they're opening up for Rat. You know, if you see Poison live, they are an American rock band that's awesome live. So if you've never seen Poison live, I don't know if Poison will ever tour again. Brett Michaels still hasn't signed off with Live Nation to do a Poison reunion tour next year, so I don't think that's going to happen. I still keep my fingers crossed and hope. But if Poison does, trust me, Bette Davis, trust me, go see a Poison show. If you haven't, I think they'll turn you around. So Nelson, it makes it sound like I'm bashing bands. The late 80s, bands didn't really have to earn it, right? Right? I mean, I'm not putting bands down like Winger, but Winger, Winger came from Alice Cooper. You know, that's when the super groups were coming. All the super groups, Damn Yankees, super group, Slaughter, almost a super group because they came. Him and Dana Strum came from Invasion, Vinnie Vincent Invasion. You know, a lot of these bands were getting together without even playing clubs. They automatically got like a contract deal because the studios were looking for bands. Bad English is another super group. And I think all that overall kind of hurt the genre because they weren't even signing bands anymore from the street anymore. You know, so I wonder how Nelson would have done if they would have came out in the early 80s. You know, but it was fun seeing Nelson in Peacemaker. I mean, that was cool, showing some love. So I never owned a Nelson album. I never owned their album. But if they're on the radio, it's not like I'll turn them off. They're, no, they're decent, but I think they all came out at the wrong time where bands were just getting signed and there was nothing earned anymore. The only band I truly know that were still playing clubs for a long time before they got signed was Skid Row. Skid Row was playing clubs for years. Wasn't until they got Sebastian Bach and they finally got signed and they hit it. Warrant was another band that played clubs. And if you notice about like Warrant, Skid Row, they had that raw kind of sound because they didn't have high production. But bands like Bad English, Damn Yankees, I'm sorry, Winger, Nelson, they kind of had the red carpet already on the ground for them when they didn't even have to play clubs. Now, again, I don't know too much about Nelson's background. I don't know if they played a lot of clubs. I don't know how they got their contract deal. I don't know. So I hope that gave you some light. So I don't want to crap on it, but Hanson, they didn't earn shit. Silver spoons in their mouths. It's like no offense against Taylor Swift. Parents were rich, big time money. They moved her to Nashville. Come on. How many real people can say, my daughter has talent, I'm going to move her to LA? Nobody has that kind of money. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Taylor didn't earn her stuff, but it's easy when you have parents with all this money and it's like, so, what do I know? I'm in a fucking closet. I'm in a basement right now. I hear somebody walking down the steps. Who is that? It is. Whoa. So again. So, all right. Let's see here. All bands have ballers to give the guys in the men a chance to go for food and bathroom breaks. All bands have to. Do you think Stryper was underrated? Well, my friend. You know, Stryper, I'm going to show you guys something here. You know, sometimes people like, I want to show you, I'm going to show you guys my content. I put out shorts every day. And Dr. Wu, if you haven't seen it, I put out just recently, right here, Stryper, earn my respect for never backing down. And then I also have a couple more Stryper shorts up here. Let me go here a second. The crew, hold on a second, because we're doing this live. Oh, hold on. No, what am I doing? All I have to do is hold on. Don't I thought all I have to do, give me a second. Content filter. Oh, I thought all I have to do is type in search. I thought I had a search here. And all the Stryper videos will come up. Huh, weird. You see here, right here, the day Stryper was too holy for the church. So I have here. So I have respect for Stryper. I have respect. I have put up shorts recently of Stryper.
Strangely, despite their message of Christ the Savior, some church groups and ministers still try to get their records banned.
Ministers call record stores and say, if you stock these guys' records, we're going to delete our accounts. There's a big hang-up, I feel, in the Christian world today. If a Christian is supposed to look a certain way, Christianity's never been by look, and it never will be. That's why you've got people like Jim Jones, you know, who look Christian and carry a Bible and wear a cross around their neck, and then, you know, makes a few hundred people drink cyanide.
Yeah. So I have put Stryper, yeah, that's how you spell it. I have put Stryper clips on my channel. Because the thing about Stryper, what's impressive to me was, you know, they were religious. They had songs. Not every song was religious. They had some religious songs. And what that proved was they were preaching the word God. You know, they respect it. And you still had the church go against them. You still had the church ban Stryper when they were basically reaching out to another sort of crowd that probably wasn't going to church, right? So you would think that it kind of tells you, and I'm not getting here. I'm not. Don't people. I'm not trying to bash the church. Please don't make this Eric's bashing the church. But it just tells you that the church have already made a decision on what's considered music and what's not music, when Stryper was really helping them out, right? They were getting that part of the community that wasn't probably going to church. Stryper might have helped them bring in hundreds, thousands of people to the light for them. And they weren't backed at all by the church. I mean, that's why I said here, where is it again? Hold on. Where is it again? Where is it? Here we go. Let me go back here. This is why I put out another short on Stryper saying, Stryper earned my respect.
From Robert Sweet, Oz Fox, Timothy Gaines and Michael Sweet from the rock band Stryper, and of course the Reverend Fred Nile. Please, Michael. Welcome, gentlemen. Nice to talk to you again. Thank you. Welcome back to Australia. Welcome, Fred, as always. Now, listen, you've described these guys as effeminate, as gimmickry and with God, and also you've said that headbanging music is not the way to find God. You still stick by that?
That's right.
Have you ever heard their music?
I've heard it on television, like with the video clips.
But you never actually heard an album?
No, I haven't been to the concert either, but I have had young people who went to the last concert you had here who said to me, Fred, you were right. There were a lot of headbanging going on during the concert.
Okay. I want to slap this guy. First of all, how do you hate or say something against it when you haven't even listened to the album? You haven't even listened to it because there's loud guitars and they're talking about good stuff. You know what I mean? It's pitiful. It's absolutely pitiful. And then people come back to the church and say, oh, there's a lot of headbanging on. So what? If I do this, that's bad? They're getting people to listen to their music. They're getting people to hear words about God and having a good time. Isn't that what church is about? People having a good time? Isn't that what's what about? People having a good time in life. People having a good time in life equals love, equals community, is greatness. It's you know, I don't know. Sebastian has only become even worse since those days. Sorry for the other band members. Yeah, you know, Sebastian Bach, you know, he's a lot like David Lee Roth, right? David Lee Roth, Sebastian Bach, so much talent, but an asshole to work with. I mean, how simple can you get that? I mean, it's, you know, get something in that. Great talent, like him and David, but they're assholes to work with. I mean, it is what it is, you know? It's, you know, I mean, I don't want to get into, you know, between the Skid Row fight because none of us been there. We don't know what's going there, but for band members of Skid Row, leaving all that money on the table, and they are. I don't care what Skid Row says. There's not that much money on the table. Yes, there is. You got back with Sebastian Bach, people are dying for that because Sebastian Bach is still singing. But to not do that just kind of tells you that, I guess, you know, Sebastian's too hard to work with. You know? So that's a Mandela effect. So, and all that. So again, let me do this. I'm going to start a poll. Is Guns N' Roses king of the 80s? I'll put yes. No. Simple. Yes or no. All right. I'm putting it in right now. All right. The poll's in there. Is Guns N' Roses king of the 80s? Yes or no. Simple. And remember, there's no right or wrong. You can like Guns N' Roses. We all like them. We just don't think they're the king of the 80s. I mean, I don't think they're the king of the 80s. You know, and you know what's funny thing? Let me see if there's any. Hold on. Hold on a second. You know, it's almost, you know, because people will say, yeah, but you know, they look street. And it's almost like, hold on. Like, okay. All right. Like that's street. That looks like almost like every other band in the 80s. You know, in the 80s, before they you know, once they got the album out and all that, they kind of start dressing a little bit even more street. But that's not say they never look street. I mean, look at that hair with Duff McCock and Steve Adler. I mean, look at that hair. So when people say they never really truly looked 80s, Yeah, they start to look more once they got popular and stuff. They start looking more street level. But let's not pretend that they weren't. They didn't have the hair. I mean, there's Aquanet in that hair. There's Aquanet there. So when people always try to pretend they never looked apart, they did look the part. Like anything else. You start changing. Right? So when people say crap like they didn't look the part, yes, they did. Look at the early 86, 87. They looked like everybody else and they got more street cred. I mean, look, okay, people say Poison look like girls. Yeah, they did look with the cat dragged in, but open up, say, they start looking more street, and people got more. Oh, that's just how the music went. It's crazy to think that Skid Row was never a headliner. That is weird. Because Skid Row first album, hold on. This is why I love doing live shows with you guys. I love doing live shows with you guys. Skid Row album sells. Right? And it's share screen. All right. So Skid Row 1989 album sold about 6 million copies. Slave to the Grind sold about 2,295 copies. If you kind of think about it, right? Skid Row, with their first album, outsold Rat. Rat first album sold like 4 million copies. And then Invasion sold 2 million copies. So if you look at Skid Row first two albums, it outsold Rat. But Rat headlined. Rat sold out headlining. So it's weird that Skid Row outsold a lot of those bands, but they never headlined an arena level. It's kind of strange. It truly is. Yeah, but they had a headline, co-headline with another band, to be that. But it's weird that I saw Skid Row headline tour. Oh, okay, 92. Was the headlining show at arena level, or was it not club, but like a 4,000, 5,000 seat club? Yeah, maybe. I mean, Rat started headlining right out there, right outside of Out of Cellar, Invasion of Privacy. They went straight to the arena level. Theaters, okay. Yeah, theaters, not arena level. So I'm just saying it's weird. It's kind of weird. There's a lot of bands like that. I mean, Dokken was a band that never was an arena level headlining act, where I felt they had the music and the catalog to do that. Right? I mean, if you think about it, I mean, Cinderella did arena shows. Poison did a few arena shows. Tesla is another band that I felt that I wish I would have saw them arena level. Tesla's a great band. I wish I would have saw them arena level. But it's weird. It is weird. It's weird to think about what bands did do arena levels versus some bands that can only do like theater level. It's strange. And sometimes those theater levels outsold some arena levels. But again, if you guys remember Kiss in the 70s, they were arena level, but they didn't sell their first million copies until Kiss Alive album. Because people wanted to see Kiss live. They rather see Kiss live than own some of their albums. And that's just a fact. They didn't sell the first million until Alive, and then Destroyer. And again, and Destroyer did not come out of the when that came out, it wasn't a hit right away. It wasn't a hit. It didn't sell 1 million copies until the song Beth got accidentally played on the radio. So it took Beth to take the Destroyer album and sell over 1 million copies, and they were arena level. So some bands just have that image of arena level that you want to see them on a big stage. And there's a lot of people who go to concerts and not buy albums. You know, Skid Row might have been. Gore is another band that sold more tickets than albums. Yeah, that's a good one. You know, and if you really kind of think about it, that's just the way it goes, and all that. So, well, guys, hey, listen, this is why I love live shows. This is what rock and roll is about. Metal's about. It's about being live with you, because it's not my show, it's our show. It's easy just to record a show, take it in the bag, edit it, add this, add that. That's not rock and roll, baby. That's not metal. Metal is live in here. So now on, remember everybody, from now on, live shows are Tuesdays and Friday. And if you guys want a certain topic that you want to start out with, email me at hairmetalrevolution@gmail.com. Say, hey, Eric, do this topic. And again, it's just a topic. It's just to get us to talk about the band we love. Even though I don't think Guns N' Roses is the king of the 80s, especially when you only had one album. Lies is an EP. I'm not counting that. A full album in the 80s. Use Your Illusion came out in 91. They're not the king, but Appetite for Destruction easily could be top 10 album for most people. I like the album. It's probably in my top 20, but for me, it's not in my top 10. But got great respect for Guns N' Roses. I know they're going to be going on tour again and all that. So, guys, again, I want to appreciate every single one of you. You're all special to me. Every single one of you, you're special. You're all special. And I'm glad you're here. And beyond that, I'll see you guys on Friday on Hair Metal Revolution.